Visit to an orphanage. The house adjacent to Nani's had lain vacant for some time. Ashna would occasionally glance at it and vaguely wonder who the next occupants would be. Over the last 2 days, however, she and Nani had noticed some activity there, and now it looked like someone was finally moving in. When Ashna stepped out of the house that morning, she heard someone call out, "Hello there!" She looked around but could not see anyone nearby. "Up here," the call came again. Her eyes followed the direction of the sound to the tree in the front yard of the house next door. She noticed 2 legs dangling from a branch, then a boy, about Ashna's age, jumped down from the tree, landing perfectly on the ground below. He looked at Ashna and grinned. "Hi, I'm Veer." "I'm Ashna," Ashna smiled back. She liked the boy instantly. "Are you moving into this house?" "Yes, came in today." Before Ashna could say anything else, a girl slightly older stepped out of the house saying, "Veer, go inside, Ma wants you." "Tharu, this is Ashna. She lives next door, and this is my sister, Tarini." Veer introduced them before running in. "Hi, Tarini," said pleasantly. "Sometimes Veer acts like he's my older brother," she said, laughing. Ashna and Tarini stood together for a while, exchanging pleasantries. They seemed to strike a natural rapport, and the conversation flowed easily between them. Suddenly, Tarini said, "Hey, we're planning to go to an orphanage on Sunday. Would you like to come along?" "An orphanage?" Ashna said, intrigued. She had never seen one before. "Yes, we go every month and take stuff for the children. They're like clothes, books, toys, and food. It was not located too far from where we used to live before moving here. But Dad says we should continue the visits even though we're farther away now." Ashna was immediately interested. "How will you go?" "Our driver Mohan Kaka will take us." "Okay, I'll ask Nani. If she agrees, I'd love to come," Ashna said excitedly. Nani had no objection, and Ashna started looking forward to her first visit to an orphanage. The orphanage was on the outskirts of the city, but the kids didn't mind the long drive. They spent the time playing word games and getting to know one another. As they neared the orphanage, Ashna noticed that it was a simple, single-storied house. When they turned into the driveway, she saw some children about 5 to 8 years old playing in the front yard. As soon as they saw the car, they came running up to it with smiling faces. When Tarini and Veer stepped out of the car, the children surrounded them, greeting them warmly like long-lost friends. 2 young women then came out of the house. One was carrying an infant and the other held onto a toddler. "Helpers," Ashna thought. Behind them were 2 more young children, followed by an elderly woman who looked in charge. Everyone seemed genuinely happy to see Tarini and Veer. It was obvious they were well known and well liked by one and all in the orphanage. After the initial greetings, they were led into a sparsely furnished but clean room. Some older children immediately surrounded Veer, insisting that he show them card tricks. Veer was quite a wizard with cards, and the children oohed and awed with the amazement at every clever trick he showed them. Then he and some boys retreated to the backyard to play ball. Tarini meanwhile settled down with the rest of the children to read stories from the book she had brought along. Soon it was time to eat, and everyone sat down on the mats to devour the sweet savories and homemade lemonade that Tarini and Veer had brought for them. When it was time to leave, they said a cheerful goodbye with a promise to return soon. Ashna was quiet throughout the drive home. Her heart was filled with a sense of sadness despite the smiling faces they had left behind. Tears stung her eyes, but she didn't want to cry in front of Tarini and Veer, who were happily jabbering away, oblivious of the turmoil in her heart. But the moment she reached her home, her reserve crumbled. She ran to Nani and embraced her tightly, and then she let the tears flow. Nani was taken by surprise. Ashna had left home that morning full of excitement. What could have happened to make her cry? She gently stroked Ashna's hair, saying nothing. She knew that when Ashna was ready to talk, she would. For a long time, Ashna kept her face buried in her Nani's shoulders, weeping silently. Then very slowly, she started to speak through muffled sobs. Such young children, infants, toddlers, no parents, no family, nothing. And yet, they were smiling, playing, laughing. Nani was trying to make sense out of Ashna's disjointed words. "I have you, Ma, Papa. So fortunate, but never think about it. Take for granted, so selfish," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry, love you so much." Nani tightened her arms around Ashna. "I know, darling, we love you too. Shh, now, it's okay," she whispered soothingly. Nani understood that the visit to the orphanage had a profound effect on Ashna. It had sensitized her to a reality that had been obscure till now. She lovingly held Ashna close and let her cry till her sobs naturally subsided. Then she spoke softly. "This was your first exposure to an orphanage, darling, and you saw for yourself how difficult life for some children can be. What you are experiencing is a combination of compassion and gratitude. Compassion for the plight of the children in the orphanage, and gratitude for the many blessings you yourself enjoy in life. These are both wonderful feelings to have because they make our life meaningful, and it is good to nourish them, strengthen them, and keep them alive in your heart at all times, for they will inspire you to stand up for the less fortunate and those who are unable to speak for themselves." Ashna had stopped crying. She straightened up and said, "Thank you, Nani. I needed to hear that," and then added resolutely, "I also want to do my part to help like Larini and Birdu, not only for the orphanages, but for others too who might need help." "That's a very good thinking, darling. I'm proud of you." Nani looked at Ashna fondly. "There are many ways in which you can help people in need. Let's talk about it over dinner. Now go and wash up. It's time to eat and you must be famished," she said with a gentle smile. Nani was pleased that Ashna was growing up into a sensitive and caring person. Soon it will be time for Ashna's parents, Nani's daughter and son-in-law, to return from their assignment abroad, and Ashna will go back to live with them. Nani will miss Ashna's presence in the house, but nevertheless, she was grateful that she was going to witness the emotional growth in Ashna's during this special time. She had no doubt that Ashna will create a special niche for herself in the world and will leave an indelible mark on humanity someday. Her heart overflowed with love and blessings for her darling granddaughter as her tender gaze followed Ashna, who was now walking purposefully towards the washroom.